In towns and cities across the UK, a tech revolution is slowly being born, one antenna at a time. Bit by bit, 5G is becoming a thing, and while all the infrastructure might look a bit dull, well, take a look at this. This is a speed test to this phone, which right now is getting data speeds of 390 megabits per second. Not bad. Yeah, this new network is going to be so fast that we'll be able to download in a heartbeat and stream video to multiple devices at once. In order to allow this to properly take off with high speed and minimal delay, we're going to see lots of new antennas, each serving small areas. And some of them may use much higher frequency radio waves than previous mobile networks. But having these antennas everywhere has given some people pause for thought. They believe that 5G radio waves can cause health problems, and they're campaigning for the rollout to be halted. Now, this protest group is small but vocal, and it does seem to be growing. So Paul Carter went to Brighton to meet some of the anti-5G movement.
Prove that it's safe! Prove that it's safe!
Hove, near Brighton.
Say no to 5G! Say no to 5G!
It may not be the first place that comes to mind when thinking of the front line of protest.
Prove that it's safe!
But campaigners here are making their feelings known about plans to introduce 5G masts in the area.
What do we want? A ban! When do we want it? Now!
The World Health Organization, Public Health England and the NHS all say there is no sufficient evidence to say 5G poses a risk to health. However, that has done little to placate campaigners. Earlier this year, one parliamentary petition calling for more research into 5G attracted more than 29,000 signatures. So what are their concerns?
Public Health England and the government say that 5G and electromagnetic frequencies are safe because they all fall underneath the level of the international safety guidelines. However, there are huge issues with the safety guidelines. There's a great big gaping black hole. What the safety guidelines will tell you is whether your mast will burn or heat you, but what it won't tell you is all of these health effects that are known by science to be linked to electromagnetic frequency radiation.
Who decides who's guinea pigs? Who's deciding to, to roll this out and test it on who? Who are going to be the lab rats, the lab mice, whatever you want to call us, because it's not safety tested. If someone said to me, fact, 5G is safe, if our government came to me and said, fact, 5G is safe, fact, it's been tested by the telecoms industry, I wouldn't probably have the concerns that I have, but to me, there's no fact there from them.
The industry, however, have a very different view.
Campaigners will say 5G hasn't been tested, and if it's not been tested, it shouldn't be rolled out. What do you say to that?
Now, I hear that line a lot, and it fundamentally misunderstands what 5G is. 5G uses technologies that have been in use in all countries for decades now. The type of frequencies that they use, the radio waves that they're using, they're the same ballpark of radio waves that have been used and tested and tested and tested for decades. The technology that goes into the antennas doesn't fundamentally change the way that those radio waves behave. So whilst it looks and feels like a brand new technology from a marketing perspective, its roots are actually, in inherent mobile radio technology that's been tested and used for decades now.
What is happening here is very similar to the smoking. The actual health effects, the actual science were hidden, and this is exactly what is happening here.
5G is highly, highly unlikely to cause more cancers than 2 to 4G, and there isn't much evidence of increased risk for 2 to 4G, if any. It is not the new tobacco, it is not the new asbestos. That just simply isn't true.
But despite the weight of scientific evidence, the anti-5G movement is growing. Similar groups have been popping up in other areas around the world, fueled by social media and the internet. Back in Hove, the campaigners had the opportunity to present their concerns to councillors.
Exposure to 5G radiation will be 24/7, 365 days a year without our informed consent.
Nationally, Public Health England provide the expert advice on public health matters associated with radio frequency electromagnetic fields or radio waves used in telecommunications. The implementation and regulation of 5G technology is a national responsibility.
Save our children!
Is there anything from this point that they could say that would convince you that this is safe?
Yeah, they could put their case, but the independent scientists and the actual science needs to be properly heard as well.
Ultimately, is this a battle you can actually win?
There will always be a small number of individuals who do not want to hear from large corporations like us. And there will always be a huge group of people who don't have any concerns about this technology. There might be a group in the middle who could be swayed, and I think that's the group that where there is a battle to be won, if you like. We do need to make sure those people have access to the right information, that they can make an informed decision and not be misled by what is some pretty aggressive scaremongering.